Just a quick note while he's setting up. Whenever you finish your song or whatever you're doing up there and you're finished with the microphone, do not set it down anywhere. Give it to a human being, because they will roll it to the floor and they're 8,000 pesos each. Thank you.
I can't put it here, Tracy.
I've been telling you that for like 3 years now.
Encouraged to hate because of the literature he read. Was this the reason 168 people were dead? His yellow Ryder truck he parked nearby. In a very short while, many people would die. After the explosion, his destination was a Kansas dump site. Driving away, Timothy McVeigh felt that what he did was right. Unaware of his upcoming fate as a result of driving without a license plate, he was a decorated veteran, a hero of the Gulf War, taken by surprise, never been arrested before. Building homemade bombs had become his hobby. He bought into talk about the evil gun control lobby. He said that war opened your eyes. One thing he began to realize was that Iraqi soldiers were just regular guys. He said that the army hyped you up to take these people out. So now he knew what war was about. Towards the end of the war, he found that he hated to kill. He felt that the army had made him swallow a very bitter pill. His friends saw the change, that he was acting strange, how he'd always spend his mornings at the rifle range. He'd returned from the war, sporting a Bronze Star. Now he wandered the country, changing from car to car, building up inside of him a feeling of frustration, constantly criticizing Washington for some new law or regulation. His mood was becoming increasingly fierce. He obsessed over a book written by William Pierce. He felt that his country had ignored his sacrifice as a soldier, causing him to act bolder, his heart to grow colder. The deaths of Randy Weaver and his family at Ruby Ridge, Idaho, caused his anti-government feelings to grow. An FBI sniper killed Weaver's wife. While she held one of her babies in her arms, the sniper took her life. So McVeigh, who once had been so eager to enlist, was now veering towards the mentality of a terrorist. A paranoid suffers delusions of persecution. So now we have McVeigh heading towards what he considered to be the only solution against the government he considered corrupt, selecting a building he eventually planned to blow up, Ruby Ridge. Machine guns fired at the occupants inside, a dirty little secret that the American government attempted to hide. If the sheriff had simply served a warrant, everything would have been okay. These are the words of Timothy McVeigh. But the ATF wanted an excuse to break out their toys, shining floodlights on the house at night and bringing the noise. He said this wasn't tactical, their methods impractical, the words of a radical. The Waco standoff still ticking along. Many people feeling that the government was in the wrong. No reasonable end in sight. The ATF flexing its military might. Roughly 80 men, women and children died at Ruby Ridge. No one would ever know the exact number. Shooting themselves, killing one another, or simply letting the fire take them. Masada all over again. Ruby Ridge had become his obsession. The burning of the compound made a very strong impression. The children that died was what angered him the most. The fire that burned them up, just like toast. One thing of which the public was unaware, in the Persian Gulf War, they employed chemical warfare. So it's said that when Timothy McVeigh returned home, he was displaying the effects of Gulf War syndrome. The soldiers that came back seemed perfectly fine, but over time slowly exhibited signs of mental decline. Was depleted uranium affecting his cranium? A large box of blasting caps, many observing his mental collapse. Evidence that the man was slowly losing his mind, hunting for detonation cord that was difficult to find. His friends took note of his deteriorating mental state. Of 50-pound bags of ammonium nitrate, $228.74 paid in cash, turning down the application for a farmer's tax exemption. The manager of the store, unaware that this was a soul in need of redemption. The ways of the government made his blood boil. He had the fertilizer, now he needed the fuel oil. Anhydrous hydrazine, highly volatile, a chemical mixture that matched his mental profile. What was going on inside this man's brain? Did you sell racing fuel? Do you have nitromethane? A bullshit Gulf War that the president used as a ploy. A former soldier that felt he'd been used like a toy. His sister said he still seemed like the same brother she'd known when their parents split up, unaware that he was planning to blow shit up. Images of Randy Weaver's son's body outside in the shed. 4 days refusing to surrender while his wife lay dead. The government said that they were justified in committing these acts of homicide. More than 20 children died at Ruby Ridge. Janet Reno taking full responsibility. Janet Reno strapped to a chair and facing a lethal injection, and that I'd like to see. She kept harping on about child molestation, but she brought about their assassination. Like Jamiroquai said, it's a crazy world we're living in. Lives ended in an instant, a nation in grief. McVeigh's father holding his head in his hands in total disbelief. The father said that he still loved his son, even though he'd been declared public enemy number 1. 4 women wanted to marry this guy, turned on because he blew a building sky high. At the point where he felt he'd had just about enough, he asked his sister to look after his personal stuff. He was born zodiac sign Taurus the bull. People could see that he was raging like a bull in need of caging. Writing to his sister, confiding that he had to go into hiding. He said the government had a list of names of people it feared. Got me wondering just how many of these people that had disappeared. 300,000 names on a supercomputer list of every possible or suspected terrorist. Purchasing a rider truck, trying to relax, while the salesman went over the discount and sales tax. So many people suffering in the worst way. Bay Alman dead one day past her first birthday. So many victims that suffered the loss of a limb or an eye. All anybody could ask was why. Some people had their bodies and faces scarred permanently. The oldest of them was 73. Survivors waking up sweating in bed. More than 500 injured, 168 dead. A nurse struck on the head by falling debris. It took 4 days for her to die. Looking at the building with the front ripped off. All anybody could ask was why.